Where does Jewish success come from? Not only success, but a success that's so noticeable that there's even conspiracy theories out there that the Jews control the world. I want to introduce you to this clip over here where someone from outside of the Jewish community, someone from a Christian podcast, actually gives their suggestion as to why the Jewish people as a community, as a whole, are so successful as a group. So let's watch this podcast. Let's watch this clip together. And before we do that, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. You're not going to want to miss this. Check this out.
This is what I think. If I had to simplify this entire thing, is because of the scriptures, which to me is actually just a testament that the scriptures are true. Because of the scriptures, because of Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, a framing of financial literacy and success, and these things being true, and Jewish people holding to these principles throughout thousands of years, now you have them, which is a small population of the global world population, but because culturally, this is the difference between like head knowledge, tacit knowledge on an individual level, and like building culture. Because of culturally implementing God's ways for certain things, you always see Jewish people in positions of influence, success, and power. Whether that's Hollywood, whether that's law, whether that's whatever. And so people think it's a conspiracy and they've all joined together. It's like, no, you don't understand that like they couldn't do anything else. And so they went into these other industries, like entertainment, banking, law, and like crushed and dominated because of the principles that we see in Proverbs.
Come on.
Right? And that's a cultural dynamic that many who don't understand. Right? Shout out to Javier. He says, Jews don't pray for money, they pray for work. Better mindset, they have winning mindsets.
That's a bar.
So why do you see Jewish people always successful and always in positions of power? Again, it's a very much an oversimplification.
Don't pray for money, pray for work.
Yeah, pray for work. Pray for, well, what is work? Solving problems.
Come on.
Pray for work to solve problems, right? And
since when has interest been a solution?
Right. They own the most expensive parts of Brooklyn. That's the power of culture. And I think what happens is, especially in pockets of the right, is that folks don't understand a better story. They're just consumed with being outraged against something.
Yeah.
And if all you are is just outraged about everything, you actually never build culture. You just have outraged culture.
Come on.
And so you're just mad. You're mad about everything. Yeah. Instead of saying, hey, how do we make it so here's a simple example. The dollar staying within your community.
That's a good one.
Right? So again, I don't want to use hypergeneralization, but like Jewish people have a way to maintain their dollar to stay within their own communities.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's like if your dollar stays within your community, that means your community will always prosper. If you're always prioritizing doing business and commerce with people who are aligned towards your culture and your worldview, guess what? There'll always be a circulation of money within there.
I'm gonna start that embroidery business.
And wait, what? No, that's like a practical sense. Like I'm gonna go to the Christian mechanic. I'm gonna go to the Christian business owner. I'm gonna go to people who share my values.
A buddy that starts a screen printing business.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to go to my buddy who has a silk screen business. So when you do that, you keep the dollar within the circulation of your own community versus you just spend money frivolously to pagans and people who don't care about you, your community, or your God.
Yuck.
And then you actually lose power that way, right? Yep. And again, these are all things that I just don't think folks care to understand. And so then when you see a group successful, you go, well, we're not successful like that. Therefore, they must be bad and they must have a, it's like, no, you should look out for your own. Like you should look out for your own. And so it's like, I think oftentimes Christians have a very toxic view about finances. They have a toxic view about success. They have a toxic view of business. And then they all wonder why we don't have the same circulation and resources and stability that other communities do. So when you don't understand that it's a cultural issue, then you look at successful cultures and you demonize and you blame them. And that's, I think in a nutshell, a very hypergeneralized, simplified version of, I think, why this is happening specifically with Israel.
Well, this is an interesting point as to why the Jewish people are successful overall. The worldview that a person has automatically trickles down into the culture that they create. And Christians believe in the validity, the godly, the divine hand writing the Hebrew scripture. And in this gentleman's mind, that Hebrew scripture, that Jewish wisdom has shaped the culture in which they find themselves. Doesn't mean that everyone is religious in the Jewish world, but that ideology, that worldview has trickled down into the fabric of the culture, creating a successful society. It's an interesting point that he brings up here. Also, this idea of working within your community. Not that Jewish people don't build out other communities. That is something that we certainly do. You look all around, you see plaques on all sorts of schools and libraries and all sorts of public institutions, not just in the Jewish world, the impact that the Jewish people have made, but there is an idea of helping within the Jewish community as well. And this gentleman says that he doesn't see this as something that he always finds in his culture and something that perhaps can be learned from the Jewish people. It's a very interesting idea. I'd love to hear your comments about this in the comments below. And if you like this content overall, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Take care.